April Davidson with Valley Varieties. Today I have Allie Andrews. She's the CEO of Shake Energy. How are you today, Allie?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. And so we have this very nicely made diorama here, and I'd like you to go ahead and explain a little bit about what it is you do.
Sure. So this is my imagination of a community solar garden, which is a hypothetical project that we are trying to create here at Shake Energy Collaborative. We are a woman-owned business, a public benefits corporation, and we are trying to build community-designed and community-owned clean energy infrastructure.
It's very fun to look at. And so what I see is like a picnic table, a slide, a barbecue. I see a little garden. I see, it looks like, is that a putting ground? A little putting ground?
Yeah, a couple little putt-putt course holes
Very
here.
nice, and some swings. And so it looks like there's solar panels in the middle of it. And so usually you see those in like parking areas.
Yeah.
And so you want to put these in the parks?
Yeah. So our take on energy and energy infrastructure like solar panels and solar farms is that there are many possibilities other than just blank ground or parking lots that could go underneath these solar farms. So why not stretch our imagination a little bit further than just thinking solar panels over blank ground or parking lots. Let's dream up different ideas for what else we could do with a shaded area underneath elevated solar canopies in our neighborhood. So we work with neighborhoods in Fresno to design with them what kind of green infrastructure they would like to have underneath solar panels in their neighborhood.
So that would add a lot of shade to a garden or a playground.
Exactly, which has been one of the great pros and selling points of our conversations with communities is not only is it a green space, but it's a shady green space, which is even more valuable in the hot summertime.
Definitely. And so you said working with communities. Do you want to explain that a little bit?
Sure. So our goal as energy developers is to work with communities that historically have not had access to the benefits of clean energy because they either they can't afford rooftop solar, those high prices, or maybe they don't own their own home. Like for me, I rent an apartment. I don't have the option to put solar on my roof. And so we want to work with neighborhoods, communities, nonprofit groups that would like to partner with us to build energy infrastructure in their neighborhood that can financially benefit the residents of their neighborhood.
Okay, and so do you design this for them, or do they get to participate in this?
Definitely they participate in this. I think we realized that that's the way that we can build the most meaningful projects in communities is by working with the residents of that neighborhood, listen to their ideas. They have way better ideas than we do anyways. We've heard wild ideas like a glow-in-the-dark putt-putt course. That's what inspired those little golf holes there. Water parks, misters, after-school reading amphitheaters for kids programs, all sorts of stuff like that. And that way, if community members are a part of the designing of the infrastructure, it's way more likely to be a useful resource that is loved by the community long after it is built.
Okay, so what about a merry-go-round?
You know, nobody has come up with that idea yet. I think you are the first. I will put it on the list of ideas.
What? No merry-go-round?
Yeah.
How could they miss that one?
I don't know.
Okay, and so when you are trying to sell this to the community, how do you approach that?
Well, so our initial ask is, will you partner with us on designing the infrastructure? We're not looking for the community to write us a check for this infrastructure. This is often relatively expensive upfront infrastructure. on the orders of like hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars worth of solar panels and the structures that support them. What we're looking for from a community is a strong desire to work with us on designing it, and a strong desire to bring clean energy to their neighborhood and participate in it. Who we're selling to in the traditional sense is once we build a project like this, we're interested in selling the power from that project to either a utility or another company that is a large power consumer. That is actually an interesting pivot that we've just had in our young business history. We traditionally thought of building these projects and then selling the power to a utility, like here in Fresno, PG&E.
Okay.
We submitted a bid for our first project to PG&E just this last month, which we were really excited about, and then found out a couple of weeks ago that our bid was actually not selected due to a small technical reason. And we were really sad about this at first because we thought that might be the only option. That's sort of the traditional energy purchaser. But it forced us to shift, think of new ideas for who else buys power. And there are customers all across California called direct access customers. Oftentimes they're big companies like Apple and Google, but we've also have local entities like Fresno State is actually a direct access consumer, which means that they can buy power directly from power producers. So that's our new take, is we're reaching out to different companies and organizations that could be supporters of projects like these. If they buy power from a local project in a Fresno neighborhood, they're supporting that benefit in their neighborhood.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And so who can participate in investing in this?
That's such a great question. So we partner with another new startup called Raise Green. They're a small new company, and what their mission is to help projects like ours get investment from regular people across the internet. So they have an online platform that can take either debt or equity investment from regular people like you and me that might have a spare $50 or $100 or that you want to not just give away but invest in a clean energy project in a community. And so we would raise our money, raise our investment through their platform from small-scale investments from just regular folks online that are interested in supporting clean energy. And then ultimately what we would like to see is debt. We would raise debt through this platform. We would get a loan to the project, and then the owners of this infrastructure ultimately will be the neighbors that live around it. So we would form a cooperative structure. We're really excited about the co-op model, have a little bit more research to do there, but that way the financial benefit and the decision-making power really lays with the neighbors, the community that live around the infrastructure.
And so when they end up benefiting from that, will they be able to make different choices as to what benefits they have in the community?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So the revenue that would come off of a project like this, because we're selling power to, let's say we sell power to Apple. Apple is paying the project maybe $20,000 a year for the power that comes off of it. Some of that money needs to go to repaying the debt that we raised through Raise Green, and then the rest of it, what's left, the community, now the owners of that project, get to decide how the benefits are distributed. So it could go into a community fund that goes into operating and maintaining this awesome park that they have designed, the water bills, and maybe running summer programs for kids. Or additionally, it could be distributed through dividends to the individual households that have signed up to own the infrastructure. So we're excited about that level of decision making to stay with the community. They get to decide how to distribute that.
that would make it very exciting to get involved in something like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sure would.
Yeah.
And so with a project like this, how long does it take?
Well, on a scale of, so this project that I've built here is modeled after our first pilot project in the neighborhood of El Dorado Park, just up near Fresno State. And that facility is 66 kilowatts. If that means anything in particular, that's probably about 2 dozen worth of individual household solar panels, if you can visualize 2 dozen households worth of solar panels.
So a nice little like a nice little kind of strip of houses there.
Yeah, and it will be built on a 1/4 acre lot, so just sort of like a single household lot. That would take to construct it would take only about 2 to 3 weeks to actually build, from the foundations up to the solar panels and to plug in. The longer part is the designing, the developing, the raising the money, the finding the customer and signing that contract with the customer for a long term, and in particular actually plugging into the utility, a process called interconnection. That is the longest process for us, and that from start to finish, we're hoping to get the timeline down to closer to 1 year from design to producing power. I think right now for our first project, we're probably looking at closer to 2 years.
Okay. And then, so after that, you'll get the ball rolling and maybe it'll be faster.
Yeah. I think if we can streamline certain aspects, know ahead of time what permitting, know ahead of time what interconnection can be, then we can really spend time on the parts that matter, the community designing, the structuring that cooperative entity in a way that's really meaningful for the neighbors.
Who knows, maybe you'll be a pro and you'll be balancing a couple of them at a time.
Yeah, that would be so great. And then I could hire more people to help me.
That would be great.
Yeah.
So what are your goals with this?
Well, I think really broadly, my long-term goal is that all of our energy infrastructure in the U.S. starts to look like this. Like it's integrated into our urban and rural environments in ways that really add to the local landscape. The ownership and the benefits from energy infrastructure don't go to the big, large entities that they currently go to. They stay with the communities that they serve. And I don't think all of that can be achieved in the near term by just my company. I think it really takes a shift in the energy industry overall, in the structures that exist, the utility structures and the energy developer structures. But I think that we've had a lot of great enthusiasm in the Central Valley from different communities and nonprofits that want to work with us. And I hope that within the next few years we can make more of the energy infrastructure in the Central Valley look like this.
Okay. And so what got you started in this? What sparked your enthusiasm and got you started in this?
Yeah. Well, the process, the idea for this company really started out of my graduate school research. I was getting my master's in design a couple of years ago. I graduated actually just about a year ago today.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Which was really fun, really looking at how the design department is really focused on how do you tailor the design of technology to fit better into human use and match human needs. And I saw this disconnect in the energy industry of developers, big companies, technology not necessarily meeting human needs. Like there are a lot of better ways that humans can interact with the energy industry that they don't currently have avenues to do that. So we, myself and a few other graduate students, we worked on a project that looked at how do you get this better engagement with humans, with the communities that live around energy development, and found that it was really meaningful to be able to ask those questions. What should it look like how do you want to benefit from it? How should the benefits flow back to the community? And realize nobody else is doing this in the energy industry, so we might as well start a company and see if we can do it.
Well, it's brilliant.
Thanks.
Is there anything else that you can think of that you'd like to share with me today?
Well, sure. I guess in the near term, what we're really excited about is I have 4 interns starting on Monday
Wow.
that are really excited about engaging with community members, figuring out how do we tailor this process of design, how do we tailor the ownership structure to really meet community needs. Is it a co-op or is it something similar to a co-op but slightly different?
Okay.
How do the workshops that we host to get community design, what are the most effective activities? Is it the Play-Doh models that we play with? Is it the life-size cardboard models that we
Okay.
play with? Is it none of that? Is it just casual conversation? So I think for you and for all of the listeners out there, if this model excites you and you can think of different community organizations or local towns that would be interested in engaging in this design, my interns and I will be all ears. We would love to interview you and talk about how to collaborate to make a project like this happen.
Very good. And anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, and so I know it's on the bottom of the screen, but how can they get a hold of you?
Oh, I think email is probably the best
best.
way to get a hold of me.
Okay.
It's down there. It's Ali, ALI, at shake-energy.com. Feel free to send me an email. You can also check us out at shake-energy.com to see a little bit more about our business and our business model.
That's great. Well, I'm so happy that you came today, and I'd love to have you again because I'd love to see the progress, and I can't wait until you get that connection that you need.
Mm-hmm.
And so please come back, and I just can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah.
This is brilliant, and I just love it. Thank you
Thanks.
so much for coming.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, April. I'd love to come back.
Oh, good.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, we'll be right back.
Ghost Golf is Fresno's most spectacular family entertainment center. It's frightening how much fun you'll have on our 18-hole indoor haunted graveyard course. Skeletons welcome you, but watch out. All sorts of creatures may come to life. Ghost Golf is perfect for scary good parties, so book yours today. You'll get free plays at the Mummy Shooting Gallery, arcades, and air hockey. Check out our party and weekday specials online and like us on Facebook. Come play at family-friendly Ghost Golf. Good times will haunt you.
For all your real estate needs, call Julia Tadich with Clovis First, 559-323-2213, or visit clovisfirst.com. That's CLOVIS, the numeral 1, ST.com. Whether you're looking to buy a home or sell a home, get a loan, or whatever the case may be, call Julia Tadich.
The Saga of Bridget and Amanda by Carol Love Forbes brings to life the struggles of historical women in early America. Find the Saga of Bridget and Amanda on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and order your copy today.
At Laulea Travels, we strive to make your vacation experience as relaxing as possible. From the time you start dreaming about it to the time you're sharing your vacation photos with your friends and coworkers. Our vow is to treat your vacation as if it were our own. If personal service, attention to detail, and years of travel experience are important to you, then let Laulea Travels plan your next dream vacation. visit lauleatravels.com or call 559-360-1933.
A dynamic litigator, in-tune listener, and forward thinker with almost a decade of experience, Nasser Nekumanish is a skilled attorney servicing clients throughout the Central Valley. When you need a lawyer, call 559-441-0114 and ask for Nasser Nekumanish.
Linda Lee Kane is an author of fantasies, thrillers, contemporary fiction, and children's books. Order a book by Linda Lee Kane on Amazon or on lindaleekane.com. Get twice the results in half the time. Call 559-349-7934 to schedule your appointment with Clovis Fit Body Boot Camp today. And follow Fit Body Boot Camp Clovis on Instagram. Highlights, balayage, color, extensions, cuts, pure Brazilian blowouts, treatments. Contact Jordan Myers at Hair by Jordan. Did you know most hair and beauty salons in the Central Valley are not disposing of their chemicals correctly? Partner with us today to become an eco-friendly salon. Visit us online at greenbeautywaste.com. Our phone number is 559-367-7206. And be sure to visit us on Instagram and Facebook at Green Beauty Waste.
Is everything in life draining you? Come to Stretch 360. Our professional staff can offer you many options for relaxation like deep tissue or hot stone massages, infrared medical grade sauna. Once you leave us, you'll look and feel like $1,000,000. Stretch 360. Relaxation is only a stretch away.
The Art of Becoming Who We Are in Christ by Jolene Kennedy is a book about the process of maturity as we find our true identity, since God's promises must be received, embraced, and activated within us. Get your copy today and check out jolenekennedy.com. Fleet Feet Fresno is more than just a running and sportswear store. Fleet Feet Sports' mission is to provide runners and other active Fresnans with gear that fits their individual needs, training that helps them reach their fitness goals, and races that satisfy their competitive spirit. Get to know Fleet Feet Fresno today. Carol Co., the Valley's leader for no-cost energy upgrades. Call Carol Co. at 559-396-3939 and visit carolco.net. Call Valley Cryosport today to learn how you can decrease muscle soreness, speed up your body's recovery time, and improve your immune system. And Valley Cryoskin uses science that works with your body's natural systems, killing fat cells without damaging surrounding tissue, and increasing oxygen supply that aids in collagen production, resulting in slimmer, toned bodies and the elimination of fine lines and wrinkles. Visit valleycryosport.com today or call 559-500-3304.
Clovis Community College may be free for you to attend. Call 325-5239 or visit cloviscollege.edu for details. We offer general education classes for transfer and short-term training programs.
Leemore Movers has been moving families and communities for over 40 years, providing outstanding civilian and DoD relocations. Our specialty is providing packing, moving, and storage services for NAS Leemore military members and their families. Call 888-776-3314 and visit leemoremovers.com. At Mcdermott Counseling, you will receive the highest level of care and a welcoming, safe space in which to discuss your most personal issues. Our therapists go above and beyond for you. Call 559-280-5756 or visit McDermottCounseling.com to find a caring therapist who best suits your needs. Now with offices in Hanford, California. Also offering telehealth therapy. Weedman Lawn Care of Fresno, California is a locally owned and operated lawn care company providing environmentally responsible fertilization, weed control, and integrated pest management services. Call Weedman Fresno at 559-266-1624 or visit them at fresno.weedmanusa.com. When you need to get fit, contact Gary Torres, IFBB Pro, specializing in weight loss, body transformations, and contest prep. Email GaryTorres5336@yahoo.com.
Hey, I'm Chris DeVold. Tune in every Friday night on CentralValleyTalk.com when I bring you Sex, Drugs, Chris DeVold, where I'll give you 3 guesses on what we talk about. And I also vow to bring you 1 live local music act a week. So tune in every week because you never know what kind of music you're going to hear right here on CentralValleyTalk.com.
The Space Colony Journals are an epic tale of a family's struggle to survive. Meet the courageous women and dangerous men who dare to carve a home on the alien world of Vensug. Get your copy today. Available on Amazon and GailDailiesFineArt.com.
Hi, I'm back. It's April Davidson with Valley Varieties. I have a special guest today. Her name is Diane Guntrip, and she's an author, and she's visiting us from Australia. And so I'm going to go ahead and introduce her. Hi there, Diane.
Hello, hello.
And so she has 3 books that she's written, and she's going to tell us a little bit about them today.
Okay, so first of all, I'm from Perth in Western Australia, and my first book that I wrote and was published about 5 years ago is called Dear H. It's a book that was written for 10-year-olds plus. It describes Amanda, who is 12 years old. She comes from a very wealthy background, has everything going for her, you would think. However, Amanda is bullied on a 24-hour basis. She is bullied by texts, by emails, and by personal things that happen to her at school and on the way home. So her parents are extremely busy. Her father is a lawyer. Her mother owns a chain of fashion boutiques. And so they haven't got much time for her. So she can't really, or doesn't feel that she can discuss her problems with her parents any longer. And so she desperately, well, she has a secret and she desperately would like to be a singer. However, she feels that she has no chance whatsoever because, for a start, she describes herself as being fat and frumpy. And this is a result of the bullying, because what happens is when she comes home after being bullied at school, she raids the pantry and stuffs herself with food. And so it's a vicious circle. So she writes her song lyrics as to help her combat the bullying. It is not until her grandmother phones her up and asks her what she would like as a gift for her 13th birthday And before that, the school has been on a visit to another school where she attended a concert. And onto the stage was wheeled a girl in a wheelchair, and she started to sing. And when Amanda hears this girl singing, she has tears streaming down her face because she realizes that this girl has far more problems than she has. Mm-hmm. And that if this girl has the courage to go onto the stage to sing, then perhaps she could do the same thing. So she has this inner battle with herself. One side of her brain says, yes, you can do it. And the other side comes in and says, don't be so silly, you can't do it. So she has these conversations for quite a while. And she's thinking about, what she may do. And then grandmother saves the day by asking her what she would like for her 13th birthday. And she bravely says, I would like singing lessons.
Oh.
Her grandmother is a little bit taken aback by this and says, singing lessons, are you sure? So she says, yes. Then she goes through a lot of turmoil on can she actually attend the singing lessons. And I'm going to leave that story there because this is the story. If I told you any more, it would spoil it if you read it. So that one is Dear H, D-E-A-R capital H.
Okay.
She writes, it's a diary format, and she's writing to an imaginary friend and expressing everything about being a teen and being bullied and aspirations. And it does have a lovely ending. The second book, The Daisy Chain, is actually the sequel to the first book, and it's written for 30-year-olds upwards.
Okay.
It's a diary. She continues her diary, and I'm probably letting some secrets out here because she then goes on to a music academy, which is 5 hours flight away from her home, and she has to learn to make new friends, living away from home, and all that goes with it. The academy is a sort of academy that any girl would love to go to because it's it's free and easy because the students have to be in control and make their own decisions, but the workload is tremendous because they are all aspiring musicians and singers. So she goes across to the college and she luckily does make a very good friend, but we are also introduced to lots of other characters. And the girl who was the main bully in the first book, who was Cassandra, does not appear in this book, but we hear of how and why she became a bully through Amanda's mother, through letters, etc. So we hear lots of different stories brought in about why somebody became a bully, what happened to them, certain type of mental problems among some teens. But the main thing is that with her house mistress, she forms what is called the Daisy Chain, which is an anti-bullying group. And she lists down all the things that she thinks are important to help somebody who is being bullied, and how, as a group, people could come together and support each other with the help of psychologists and other professional people. So it's a very helpful book in that respect, and it brings out all sorts of problems that people may be having. So it could be used as a discussion tool. So the first two books, the first book I have taken into schools here in Perth, where I live, and it's a great book for just reading as a book to read, but also for bringing about discussion on lots of self-empowerment, body image, bullying, all those sorts of things that young teens, even boys, relate to that book. The third book is a timid story. Has just been launched, and it's a spin-off from the second book. In the second book, we hear about a girl who is 17 and has to leave the college or academy because she's pregnant. We don't really know much about it because she's not a friend of Amanda's, but in its social setting, you hear all the rumours. And so the third book is Tilly's story, which tells of how her mother has cancer for 5 years and eventually succumbs to it. And Tilly is at the academy and obviously goes home to visit her mother just before she dies. And the whole family disintegrate when the mother dies. And Tilly returns to the academy feeling that no one understands her grief. Nobody there has lost a parent. They may have divorced parents, but they're all still alive. And she feels totally bereft, totally misunderstood, and feels that just there is nobody there that can even get close to the grief that she is experiencing. So one day, if she needs a break, she walks down to the local sort of smallish village and goes into the coffee shop and sits in the corner, and all of a sudden she is confronted or by somebody who says, "Can I join you? There's no other more room in the cafe." And she looks up and sees a young man there with most gorgeous eyes, crinkly hair, etc., etc., etc. And instantly, the weight from her shoulders that she's been carrying lifts, and he becomes like, well, she thinks the answer to all her prayers, but in actual fact, that's just the beginning of the total turmoil that takes her down this unknown path. So it's a story where lots of other people come in, because it's also the brother's talk. The brother is at home. He becomes involved with a family friend, and we hear his story about adopting a refuge dog. And we also hear about a family friend who, her story of how she had promised Tilly's mother that she would be there for the children. But it's been made very difficult because of this disintegration of the family and the father's an inability to come to terms with the loss of his wife. And so it carries on there, and the Tilly does become pregnant, and it's her father does not want her at home. And if I kept and talked to more and more, it's ready for the story for you. But again, it has a wonderful ending. So they are all books where they bring about discussion and, you know, how would you deal with that situation if you were in that position, and this sort of thing, and to get girls to think about these things before they make silly mistakes.
Well, you have me sold. Now, tell me, how can someone get a hold of these books?
Right. Well, there is first one is my website. There is www.Diane, spelled with one N, Guntrip. I'll spell it out at DianeGuntrip.com. Or there is also an Amazon page, author page, which is amazon.com/author/Diane Guntrip. I'm also on Facebook, just as Diane Guntrip author. So there are, my website also has a contact form that you can fill in if you want information. It's also available Barnes & Noble in the States.
Wow. Okay, so you're everywhere. So people better go out and get your books, because you had me totally into what you were saying, and then you stopped, and I was all, oh no, wait, I was listening. So yes, they sound very, very good. And I know you said for 13 up and 10 and up, but I'm totally sold. Are they more for teens then, or are they for like adults? Like, what would you say that they're for?
Well, I've written them basically for from 10 upwards, but I have had a lot of adults read them.
Okay.
And enjoyed them. So I think some adults have actually identified with certain things that they experienced when they were young. So it's not, I mean, it is written obviously in the it's not dumbed down, but it's not written as an adult book, if you understand what I mean.
Yes.
So, but it is easily readable for an adult to go to read. And they say they are originally were meant to be just to be enjoyed, the first book, and then it was pointed out to me how useful it would be as a discussion tool. And I've been visited a lots of schools, and I have a sort of pro forma that I go through, and it's surprising what comes out, about talking out your problems and always reaching out to people if you need help, because so many young people nowadays don't seem to feel that they can talk to their parents, and
Right.
consequently they need, we have a kids helpline over here, and I give out little cards so that they've got a phone number if they feel that they cannot discuss something with, or they haven't got anybody to discuss things with.
Oh,
So
that's
they,
great.
I would like to think that they were dual purpose. Read it if you obviously not got any problems, but but sometimes it can bring out things that people aren't realise that they've possibly got on their minds. So they're dual purpose.
That's great. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we need, I'm not sure if we have anything like that. My daughter's going to be 14 in just a couple days. And so I would like to, think that she would come to me if she had any issues. But you're right. Sometimes they don't feel comfortable coming to their parents.
It's strange because things have altered a lot. But when I go into schools and I will say, is there, who would you talk to if you've got a problem? And then hands will go up and you get the parents, and then you might have, or grandma or, nana or, somebody like that. And then there's always a few that put their hands up when you say, is there anybody here who doesn't feel that they've got somebody that they can talk to? It's surprising. And then you might give a few suggestions and then say, well, just have a think about it while I'm talking. And then at the end, some of them might say, oh, well, I've thought of, somebody else, a friend or etc. And then there's always somebody who says, I can't think of anybody.
Right.
Which is very sad. It's very sad when they can't think, when they're at the age of 10, 11, and they just can't think of anybody that they would feel comfortable in talking to.
Right.
So it's surprising. So, and I encourage them to make sure that, they don't keep it within themselves, that they do share, because it's vitally important that they get that load off their shoulders.
Yes, very important. I agree. And so your books, I think, would actually be beneficial for kids to read because they feel that they can relate, and then they can reach out if they need to.
The sound's gone a little bit wonky.
Yes, it did. I'm sorry. I said your books can be beneficial to kids to read and see that they're not alone, and they can reach out if they need to, if they feel that they can relate in many ways. I think that that maybe, I don't know if you had that in mind when you wrote them, but it sounds like that's what they kind of are.
When I wrote them, I had no idea. I just wrote it as in the first book as a story, never realizing that it could be beneficial. That wasn't my intention at all. I just wrote it it began as a short story many, many years ago. And then over time, it developed into a much longer story. But it wasn't until it was finished, and my husband said to me, that book could be used it's got so many things in it, could be used in school, it could be so helpful.
Right.
It's just one of those, I don't know, subconsciously, obviously things were running through my mind that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how long have you been writing for?
Well, the first book was published 2015. But the first book was started, possibly 20 years ago, when I just thought, I'll write some short stories, never thinking about making it longer or developing or publishing or anything. And it's interesting because one of the other short stories became incorporated in Tilly's story as the the dog story in Tilly's brother. So the other one about the refuge dog, I sort of brought that in with that one. So
Yeah.
it wasn't wasted, but no, it's probably since 2015.
Yeah. And so are you working on anything else right now?
Not at the moment. I'm basically trying or marketing my third book, along with the other two, of course. Yeah.
Okay. And then what are your goals?
Well, I suppose really I would be it's difficult to say, but I suppose if I could get that story out to a lot more people, particularly the first one, that it could be spread far and wide. That would be one of my goals, to make it available, to the information to get out there that these books are available would be possibly, yeah.
I think with the subject matter, or subject matter, I think that's very possible to do.
Yeah, it's as a self-publisher though, it's not as easy as having a publishing name behind you that is going to do some of the, to publicizing for you. And it's also because on Facebook, a lot of the girls or boys that would read the first book, because it's for 10-year-olds, aren't on Facebook. They're not on certain social media platforms. So, you don't get that feedback that you might get if they were. So that's not quite so easy.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what else can you share with us today? Put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Sorry?
I said I put you on the spot.
Sorry?
I said I put you on the spot.
You did, yes. I don't know. What, can you ask me another question?
When you were writing the book with the pregnancy, was that like did you plan on writing a book about like a teen pregnancy, or did that just come up as you were writing it?
No. The idea for that one came from the second book, and Tilly was just mentioned in the second book because Amanda was talking about boyfriends, and she just, in her diary, she said, oh, there's this much older, senior girl who's besotted with this boy in the village, and as a 13-year-old, possibly couldn't quite understand why Tilly had got this corkboard in her room covered with photos, etc. And then she sort of disappears. She leaves, and afterwards, I thought, oh, that would be a really good story to carry on as to how she came into that position to be pregnant, and also what happened to her afterwards, which is not mentioned in the book. So the story of the girl being pregnant, and it just followed through. It was just an ideal idea, but it was not planned whatsoever. But it was, I like writing books where I can sort of imagine how, if I was that age, how I would feel or I would have felt in that situation. I mean, nowadays things are very different to when I was 17. If I'm in that position for today's 17-year-olds, because things are much more accepted. But Tilly is in a position where she is going to attend the Royal School of Music in London. She has a choice, either that or the Conservatoire in Paris. So she's a top flying flautist. She is, playing the flute is just everything. She's talented, gifted and talented academically. She has the world at her feet. In fact, the world has been, the steps have been planned for her for quite a long time. So the fact that her mother dies throws her into this big pit. The house mistress suggests to her that she have grief counseling, but no, she doesn't believe that anybody could help her. And she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't realize that talking to a stranger is perhaps easier than talking to somebody you know. And so she declines all of this, and she loses her friends because they just can't cope with all of this depression, and they don't know what to say to her, or how to deal with it, because they've not been in that position. And so she, as I said, she goes down for this walk to the cafe and meets Jacques, who right at the beginning is very, very understanding. He is the shoulder to cry on that she's always wanted, but he obviously has his idea is to take advantage of her, and she, and then he doesn't want to know her. He doesn't want to know her, and so therefore she's left. She has at the beginning we have this awful chapter at the front where she knows that she's pregnant. She's fully aware of it, but she first of all tries to make out it's a stomach upset and tells everybody. And she can't sleep, she can't eat. She's just worry is so weighing her down. She doesn't know what she's going to do. And then the story goes back to her mother, her mother's last wishes, and then we go back a year and work through to the present time. And so, I mean, I can't say that at the beginning of the book it's a joyful book, but it's a story that a lot of girls would not relate to, but it would certainly make them think, I don't want to go down that path. Because when she finds out that she is pregnant, and her father says, I don't want you home, she's faced with the possibility, I have nowhere to go. And she does, it's arranged that she goes to live with Jacques' parents. He's now flown somewhere else and he's off with another girl. And she, it's like going from a total world, because she was, had identity. She was going to go to the Royal School of Music. She had plans to be on the world stage, musical concerts. And then she is a nobody, because she has to give up, well, she doesn't give up the flute by any means, but she is not, her whole identity disappears. All she basically is a young, 17-year-old who's pregnant. And she doesn't cope with it at all well, as you can imagine. And the home that she is given, there are not ulterior motives at the beginning, but Jacques' mother has in the past lost babies, and she sees herself as being a substitute mother. And Tilly sort of realizes that this woman is beginning to take over and doesn't like it. And Tilly has, for a long, long time, pretended that there isn't a baby there. It's going to go away. It's a mistake. But of course, as time goes on, it isn't a mistake, and she realizes that this lady, Cynthia, has perhaps got ulterior motives, and so she eventually stands up for herself and says, "You are not taking this baby away from me. It's my baby, and I'm going to look after it." And it ends up with I'm telling you the whole story here, but it's Cynthia then has a little bit of a breakdown when she finds out that it all comes back from post-traumatic stress from when she'd lost these babies, and she's really hanging on to this. I can perhaps have this baby. This girl can go off and do what she wants and leave this baby with me. And of course, and then Tilly says, "You're not having it, it's mine, and I'm going to be the one that looks after it." And Cynthia has a breakdown and is taken off to hospital. And it's then that Tilly reconnects with the family friend, and that's when everything, comes right, as it were. And I won't tell you any more, because it will totally spoil it for you.
Well, thank you. If you want to keep telling me, you can. No. Everything you've told me so far, it just sounds like a fabulous book. It really does.
Thank you very much.
But we probably should get going because we've run a little bit over. But is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
Well, no, just to thank you for the interview and to wish all of your listeners the very best during this traumatic time.
Yes, definitely. But I'd love to have you come back on and see how everything's going with your book sales and like share again. This has been a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed everything you've told me about your books. I'm going to have to go check them out. And so I'd love to have you back, Diane.
I would like to come back.
Very good. Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and close out for the evening. And so I want to thank you for coming, or not coming, but I would like to thank you for being here all the way from Australia on our call.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's all we have for this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ghost Golf is Fresno's most spectacular family entertainment center. It's frightening how much fun you'll have on our 18-hole indoor haunted graveyard course. Skeletons welcome you, but watch out! All sorts of creatures may come to life. Ghost Golf is perfect for scary good parties, so book yours today. You'll get free plays at the Mummy Shooting Gallery, arcades, and air hockey. Check out our party and weekday specials online and like us on Facebook. Come play at family-friendly Ghost Golf. Good times will haunt you.